Hey, everybody. Tonight is the study group, so this is your time for a Q&A, so anything goes. Go ahead and start asking questions. You can unmute yourself or type in, and pretty much anything goes. Could be about classes, could be about conditions, things you're treating, oils, but whatever it is.
I have a question, Greg. Oh, go ahead.
It's okay, you go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Greg, it's Robin.
Hey, Robin.
Hi. I was working with some clients today, and I was doing the prosperity and the Moses technique with them.
Right.
Oh no, I did the prosperity technique with them. They don't have any oils, or they have a few oils,
Okay.
but they didn't have fir, spruce, frankincense, or hyssop. They did have some Palo Santo, so I had them burn that. I don't know if they have lavender, they have some citrusy thing. I don't know if you have any other options there.
Well, are those just the two oils that they have?
Hang on, let me just pull up what I wrote them down. I think they're in Costa Rica, so they're going to try to go get some more oils. They have lavender, eucalyptus, peppermint, and a blend for sleep that has tangerine, citrus, flower.
Yeah, none of those are great choices. I mean,
I told them to try to get hyssop because I want them to do the Moses technique also.
yeah,
but I don't know if they'll be able to get that, what they can get in Costa Rica, honestly.
You know what they can get sometimes, even if they don't have the oil, they can actually get their hands on, usually, is copal or copal, however you want to say it. That would work. Like they could get the COPAL.
Dopal, okay.
Yes, C is in Charlie. Like,
oh, C, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they either call it copal or copal. It's a lot like frankincense. That would work. I mean, usually when I would go down into Mexico and stuff, I usually come back with like 5-10 pounds of copal, resin. It's a real resiny material, but that's where it comes from, is Mexico and Central America. And so they use it a lot for ceremonies down there. Another one that they could use that's not in an oil is I call it Paracon, but it's sometimes they would call it Mexican tarragon. It's not a tarragon, but they'll call it that. It has like a black licorice smell to it a little bit. They usually use it in ceremonies as well. And they could bruise the leaves and then inhale it. That would work as well.
Okay.
And I don't know what they want to do as far as purchasing oils, but we don't charge for shipping oils internationally if it's a class kit. And we do a previous class kits, including different materialization classes. And then we do ship to Costa Rica. It is $50 for shipping.
Yeah, Costa Rica is one of the ones we can still, where we were having a lot of issues shipping to Mexico.
Yeah, we
were having issues with shipping to India. I mean, basically, we lost more packages than arrived, and we're still kind of like testing the water in those areas, but it's the shipping thing is just not going good in some places internationally, and I think Costa Rica might be okay, but Mexico we just can't pull it off. Like we lost so many packages in about 3 or 4 months that we just
it's not fair to the students.
And so what are you saying, Sam, that I can have them buy a kit?
We should be able to get it to them. Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that we do for international people is we don't charge them the shipping. We just absorb that.
For the class
And
kits
a lot
and
of
the
times,
classes.
yeah, a lot of times we take a hit on it, but we're just trying to let people have the classes. And so
So
that's
is
the way
there
to-
a class you would recommend if they're doing prosperity work?
yeah, any of the prosperity classes.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
prosperity and materialization there. We have, I think, 4 materialization brainwaves, and materialization
Yeah.
was that most recent one this year.
Yeah,
And as far as I know, I'll double check, but they all should be up on the website. When you go to classes and you scroll down, there's actually an area for materialization classes.
yeah. I would actually, if they were going to choose one of those classes, I would actually do that last one, the brainwaves and the materialization, just because it's out of it, all the materialization classes. I think that one, if I remember right, has the fanciest oils.
Does it have the blood oils in it? That one?
No, it has
No.
action, it has
Action,
integration.
inertia, and
inertia.
integration.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Because
Which-
this was the first time I worked with clients using them. It was so
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah,
was-
cool.
It was really, really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think we sent you a text about one of the things that we had talked about privately.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
good.
I'm getting back to you on that.
Okay, perfect.
Good, thank you.
You're so welcome. Look forward to talking with
Yeah, me too.
And go ahead, Peggy, and then
you. Hey,
Ralph.
Miss Peggy.
Hello, good evening.
Mhm.
Just recently, I am going to be going to like a gym to soak in the pool and the jacuzzi and the sauna. Now, I really dislike intensely the chemicals that they use, but I don't have access to like a salt pool or something like that. And so I'm thinking, okay, I can go and I can sit in the jacuzzi and then sit in the sauna. But when you shower and maybe I need to get one of your soaps. I thought, well, maybe one of Greg's soaps after the fact might be nice. And then what would I like a liniment on top of once I've rinsed all the chemical out of your hair and off your body? Can you help me out here?
You're just trying to deal with chemicals that are in the pool and things.
Yes. Because I know that you can smell like them afterwards. And I thought, well, I'll take a good shower and rinse them all off afterwards. And maybe the sauna would help sweat some of it out. But then
I
I
would
thought,
say, yeah, I would say anything lymphatic would probably be good. So lymphatic blend, bay laurel, cedar, rosemary. I would maybe do something a little bit more detoxifying, like parsley would probably be a good choice.
Okay.
Coffee would be a good choice. Um, uh, Carrot and celery. Celery is a really good skin cleanser as well. Hyssop could actually work. But I'd probably lean more towards coffee, parsley, carrot, celery. Some version of that.
okay, I'll let you know how it works. Thank you.
Okay.
And go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
We can't hear you. Sorry, your fancy system. Now we can't hear you. You are unmuted, but we still can't hear you. Okay, let's give him a second. He's figuring. Do you want us to come back to you, Ralph, in a minute? We'll come back to you, Ralph. We'll circle around to you again. Go ahead, Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
Hi, Greg. I was
Mhm.
just wondering if you could give me the name of one or two really good oils for treating hypertension.
Yeah, that's a complicated condition. Do we know what the issue is with the hypertension? Like, are they wanting to give you diuretics, beta blockers, alpha blockers?
They are taking, as I understand, a diuretic, and I think it's an ARB, but it's not touching, it doesn't seem to be affecting their their diastolic pressure. And I've never really heard of that before, and I wasn't really sure how to deal with it.
Yeah, that one can be. Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to have normal systolic, even on the low side, but very high diastolic, and the doctor isn't really addressing it.
Yeah. Usually the medication they put them on for that is lisinopril. Did they put them on that or no?
I think she was on lisinopril for a number of years and then went on something that's, I think it's called, oh gosh, what is it called? It's a second generation ACE inhibitor.
Okay.
What do they call it? An ACE
yeah.
receptor or something. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's supposed to be actually even better. And it is bringing the systolic down quite well, but the
What's the
diastolic
diastolic?
is still very high. And so I thought you might know of an oil that.
Yeah, there's not an oil that just does it like straight across the board. Sometimes we have to start playing with some things. The two oils that I was able to reduce some of that with was Cape Snowbush, and the other one was Rue.
Rue.
And yeah, and both of them were just like long, slow, deep breaths, putting it on topically didn't really seem to impact it as much. I even tried taking the Cape Snowbush and having them take it internally, and it didn't really do it. It was always inhalation. And so the thing that I noticed was that when that was happening, that sometimes it would lower it and sometimes it wouldn't. And so a lot of times I had them use both, like, if one wasn't lowering it, then to switch to the other one. But there's not really a set great treatment for blood pressure. I mean, even with pharmaceuticals sometimes, I mean, as they're experiencing, it's one of those things where sometimes it's a cocktail, sometimes it's just getting the right dosage. One of the things that I had, of course, I tell them to talk to their pharmacist, but with the lisinopril, that actually a lot of times will knock down the diastolic, but it's a weird thing. Like I had them actually start breaking the tablet in half and take half the tablet in the morning and half the tablet in the evening, where a lot of times it's a once a day medication.
Right.
And they said that their doctor, they went back and they told their doctor and everything. And the doctor said that he had read an article that some people were trying that. Some physicians were having people do that, and that it was working equally as well, if not even better than the one a day dosage. But it hadn't made it to that's the way it gets prescribed. It was still kind of following the instructions from the pharmaceutical company on like how to use it. And so you can always re-explore the lisinopril, and it's not even extra dosage. It's literally taking your normal dosage, breaking it in half, and doing morning and night.
Right.
And the other thing is, I would, anytime somebody has blood pressure issues, I usually like to have them take you can take coenzyme Q10, but there's a more like available form of coenzyme Q10 called ubiquinol.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. So like, and honestly, I have them take kind of big dosages of that, like 3 to 4. They're really big, like gel cap.
Mhm.
And usually have them take 3 or 4. I mean, there was one guy we had him on like 8 a day, and that starts to get a little bit expensive, but it was definitely improving like heart function,
Mhm.
and it was not a replacement for his medication, but it was lowering the blood pressure enough to where he could be on much smaller dosages of medication. And that particular situation, the blood pressure was really bad. It was really, really bad. And so if it's like mild to moderate blood pressure, the ubiquinol will help. The rue and the Cape Snowbush potentially helps, but nothing's really like a sure thing. The issue with blood pressure is it's what you would call like a homeostatic condition, which means that like when your body is trying to maintain homeostasis, it does these things where it starts trading things out with certain systems or processes to try to maintain a balance. And one of the very first things on the trading block, so to speak, is your blood pressure. The blood pressure can be one of the very first things to go. Sometimes it's lower, but most times it's higher. And so, hopefully that person has a cuff, blood pressure cuff, so they can monitor it, not just at the doctor's office, but have them measure it like daily.
Mhm.
And try rotating the rue and the Cape Snowbush,
Mhm.
and have them take at least 2 to 3 tablets of the ubiquinol,
Mhm.
and that should produce some sort of difference. That diastolic number, when it doesn't go down, that can be a little bit more serious, because there has to be a good ratio between the two numbers. And
Mhm.
when that number is like, when the two numbers are getting closer and closer to the same number,
Mhm.
it's kind of not good.
Yeah.
So I would say the sooner that gets resolved, the better. And so it's one of those things where you throw everything at it just to try to regulate it. And so let's have you start with those two, and the ubiquinol, and give it like a couple weeks,
Mhm.
because you might get it to go down once, but it doesn't go down the second time. But usually if you do this kind of multifaceted approach, you'll have some sort of result. And the other thing that I usually like to have them do, just for reducing any potential spasms in the heart muscle, is
Mhm.
I usually have them take about 400 or 500 milligrams of magnesium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just it's not going to fix anything, but like, you're just trying to keep the serum levels up so that the heart muscle is less likely to go into a cramp.
Mhm.
Because the two things you're really like concerned about, other than blockages, is that the heart muscle cramps or that there's a clot. And so, because both can cause, an infarction. And so, the more that you stay on top of it, like that, usually it stays kind of okay. But like, I'd have them monitor that daily.
Okay. I think she
Just get a
asked
blood
it.
pressure cuff. Yeah, just, oh, perfect. Yeah, it's really good to just be checking in.
Yeah, it's a little disturbing because her doctor
Yeah,
doesn't seem concerned. And I have been more concerned and she is concerned. So that's why I just thought I would ask.
yeah.
Another question.
Mhm. And
She is
keep
just
me posted on that. Like, let
okay. Thank
because we might need to adjust as time goes by. And so
okay.
keep me posted on that.
All right. Another thing is she's just starting pranic and I've
Oh,
asked
good.
her just to sweep her Ming Men especially.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping that might help a bit too. So,
Have her actually also sweep her physical heart. Like
Okay.
the Ming Men is good, but anytime you're dealing with blood pressure issues, you always want to spend a bunch of time on the kidneys. The
Right.
kidneys can always use a lot of work, and one that you don't think about very much is also clean the spine. You know, the spine actually can be not usually a direct contributor, but like sometimes you know, there's just blockages in the spine that can throw blood pressure off as well.
Mhm.
So have her, you know, spend more time on the Ming Men, kidneys, and heart, but from
Uh-huh.
time to time also clean up the spine.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So also, you know, and do we know, is her cholesterol okay and all that?
It seems to be okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so,
And Ralph, let's go ahead and try again.
hey, Ralph.
Okay, can you hear me this time?
Hey, yeah, we can hear.
Okay, great. In today's newsletter you sent out, I was noticing at the bottom you have an inner transformation course in December.
Yes.
And right now you have that for December 13th and 14th, which is Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, well, that was my bad. Whoops.
Oh, okay.
It'll be the 11th and 12th.
It'll be the 11th and 12th. Thank you for letting
Ah,
me know. that.
Thank you. I'll put that in my calendar. And in the basic oil set, you have orange oil. What is the effectivity of orange oil?
You mean like what is it used for, or what is
Yes.
it?
What is it used for? What does it do energetically?
So orange oil is somewhat cleansing. It's not massively cleansing. It's somewhat cleansing. Definitely any citrus can be uplifting. Orange oil can have an anaspasmodic effect, and can be good for like things like anxiety and things like that. Let me see, I can look at my notes too. Let me look that up real quick. It's probably better than- Yeah. See, which one was it? Orange?
Mhm.
Let's see what I wrote. I'd love to say I have all this to memory, but I look these things up just like you guys.
Oh, come on. With your encyclopedic knowledge.
I wish. Let's see. Give me one more second here. Yeah, like I still just have like anxiety, nervousness, uplifting, relaxing, you know,
Okay.
all in that nature. I mean, I usually use it in things that are like times where things just need to like anything citrus is usually very like uplifting. So it's
Mhm.
it's like a mood enhancer.
Yeah.
The one variation that I would say that I've used orange oil for was I actually used it and quite effectively several times to treat skin cancer. And
Okay.
I would have people put several drops on a Q-tip and then rub the area.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it had been biopsied and they went back and had it biopsied after the fact, and the skin cancer was gone. And
Okay.
so it doesn't work every time, but it works enough to where it's one of the things that I throw out there for that.
Okay.
Usually when it hasn't gotten super big, I'd
Mhm.
say well, there's two kind of drawbacks to it. Is it can be a little bit sensitizing to the skin. That's why I have them put on with a Q-tip,
Mhm.
because it can kind of cause like a little bit of a burning sensation. You know, it goes away, but it's just like it's a little bit sensitizing to the skin where it touches it.
Yeah.
And if you go out in the sun, sometimes it can discolor the skin a little bit. So for like
Okay.
a day, so you wouldn't go outside with that area exposed.
Yeah.
We put it on neat in the area. But you know, it's one of those ones to where, because of the anti-anxiety and you know, has a bit of an antispasmodic effect, it's relaxing yet uplifting at the same time. It's one of those things that it's very inexpensive, and it's a great thing to just augment. Like, you know, you could just put it in your water, drink 2 or 3, you know, put 2 or 3 drops in your water bottle and be drinking it like you would lemon.
Yeah, I've
And,
done that before too.
yeah,
Back when I.
yeah, a
and-
lot of the citruses are really good for that.
Okay.
And so
So I'm just showing Greg real
Okay.
quick, Ralph. This is in the top 20 essential oils booklet,
Right.
and I'll send this to you in an email
Yeah.
if you don't have it.
so here it also I wrote what is this in the
This
top
is
20
your,
thing?
yeah, top
So
20.
it says energetically decongesting to the skin, stimulates detoxification in the skin, especially the hypodermis, which is the bottom layer. It has a little bit of an impact on palpitations.
Mhm.
Digestion, it's helpful for that, especially painful digestion. And then stress-related conditions, nervous tension, purifying to the thalamus. Huh. Also to the trigeminal nerve. Yeah, boy, I see. I don't even remember that.
And
Okay.
Ralph, I'm going to send you this, and even in that PDF, there are 16 other protocols where he includes using the orange oil.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, if you could ship that over, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Okay.
And just really quick on that note, if any of you guys want the top 20 essential oils workbook, I will email that to you. Just email me at info@plantpiranhaoils.com and I'll type that in. And go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, with that top 20 oil thing, it's like one of the things that we did where there's conditions and the properties of those oils. And we just took like kind of 20 oils that you could kind of pull together as like a real basic kit. And you know, all the protocols are based on just those top or those 20 oils. It's not like protocols using all different kinds of oils and some of the 20 oils by themselves. It's just for the 20 oils. So sometimes there might be other options, but at least if you had that, you know, a majority of those oils or a kit like that, you could treat a lot of different conditions with just those 20 oils. And so yeah. Hey, Kathy.
Okay. I mentioned this weekend I've been having this achy body, and you thought it might be the weather and stuff. And I remember you saying that Galbamin you sometimes don't realize when you're in pain, but if you take some of that, it like relieves pain. So I did that a couple times, but I also don't remember what other uses that is for besides that was kind of a side effect from what I remember.
We use it for any time that you want to have like expansion out of like ways of thinking or different emotional states. We use that also for issues with threshold. You know, like here we're talking about like pain threshold, but like sometimes we have thresholds to positive things, like to success, to love, to whatever. And it's like across the board, like thresholds. And what a threshold means is you get a certain amount of stimulation and you're okay with it. But once you reach your threshold, that when you hit that point, it makes you change your behavior or your way of thinking. Where up until then, you're doing okay, but you might hit a certain level where all of a sudden you start to get frustrated, and then boom, you start making different decisions because of the pain in your leg, or you could be like stuck in traffic and you're just like, you have like a stress threshold or a frustration threshold. And so it shifts the thresholds quite significantly. It too is also really super good for stress-related conditions. It's usually not to prevent stress, but the after effect of stress. So anytime that, like I've written stress-related conditions, it's usually the byproduct of prolonged periods of stress. And with that, let's look up that one to see what else I wrote. These things that we've been writing, I'm going to be given to you guys here sometime in the near future. So let's see, galbanum. Immune system and accelerates wound healing. Potentially, it might help chaotic cell growths, which would be any sort of, tumor, be it benign or malignant. But I wouldn't say that it treats cancer. It's just it potentially slows down chaotic cell growths. Can be antispasmodic in the urinary tract. Has a slight diuretic effect. Also considered an aphrodisiac. Digestively, very good for indigestion and diarrhea. It stimulates lymphatic function, especially the detoxification process. It does have an impact on blood pressure, but going back to the earlier question, I don't know that it would impact the diastolic number. I think it more as the systolic component. There's not a lot of things that impact the diastolic by itself. Respiratory tract wise, it's an antispasmodic for the smooth muscle of the respiratory tract. So aches, pains, inflammations. One of the things that's nice about it is it's actually considered a tonic, which means it's just good for restoring the body, keeping the body healthy, preventing not contagious diseases, but just keeps the body like healthy so it can deal with like the grind of every day. I wouldn't even say to prevent stress, but it would be preventing stress if the body was in pain, or if you're dealing with things where you maybe have a lot of deadlines. The deadlines might not be stressful in themselves, but always being held to the deadline is sometimes in itself a type of stress. Body tension, nervous complaints, and then polyneuritis, which is inflamed nerves over large areas of the body where your muscles are starting to lose tone. And then tension in the body caused by injury or pain. Yeah.
Thank you.
Boy, in my notes, I even have that it's been used to treat epilepsy. Boy, I forgot about that as well.
On a side note, I have a really old scar from a surgery on my foot, and I've been using heliochrysum, and it looks like it really has, in a matter of a week, kind of lessened that scar. I'm like,
it's
shocked.
mind-boggling how well it works. It's mind-boggling.
No, I am really shocked. I mean, a week at the most.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it was a week old or 30 years old. It does not matter. Like it starts to change the scar and the tissue underneath the scarring. Usually a lot of times in the first dosage, you'll start to notice a little bit of a shift, but if you do it daily for a little while, I mean, the scar will change within about 2 weeks. It's like you won't even recognize the scar.
Yeah, this is about a 15-year-old or longer. And I do some like cranial fascia work with a practitioner. And
Sure.
I mentioned it to her because I didn't even believe it. She happened to mention like my foot, and I said, yeah, do you see that scar anymore? Because it only been a week, and she noticed the difference as well. So
Yeah. It's one of the ones that we use a lot when people have had surgeries, like post-surgery. And every time that we've used it, when they go back in, I'm laughing, but every time they go in to check in with the doctor's always like floored, like just blown away at how good the scar looks. And the reason I'm laughing is there's been several times that they called other people in to look at the scar because it was doing so well. And then the person told them, oh, I'm using this helichrysum, da 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 da. Not one doctor asked for the information about it, but was amazed at the effects of what was happening. But it just stopped right there. Yeah. Kind of funny.
And go ahead, Mary Ann.
I do, but by the way, I do have physicians that are using helichrysum. It's just not the ones that the surgeons that the people took it into. I actually have several physicians using them, but
My question isn't involving an oil, but I would value your opinion if
Sure.
you have one. I was taking molecular hydrogen for energy, and I was wondering what your thoughts are on that. Is it something?
I'd have to look it up. I really don't know enough about it to talk about it. I've had some people dabble with it a bit, but I really don't know enough to say anything intelligent about it.
Okay.
I'll look it up though and see if I don't have some resource that I can access, and I have a bunch of friends that are in different modalities, and if I can figure out kind of a little bit, I can reach out to one of them and see what they say about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Is it helping?
I stopped it, and I don't see that I feel any different.
Okay.
I think it is a good source of magnesium.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with my autoimmune disease, that may be helpful. But other than that, I don't know. Right?
Okay.
And then go ahead, Peggy Bonfield.
Hey, Peggy.
Hi, y'all. Thanks again, Greg, for a beautiful weekend. Whoa. Other oils for skin cancers?
Orange oil is the one that I kind of go to for that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There was all that talk for a while about frankincense, by another company. But what they were referring to was a study that was being done on a very specific type of frankincense. It was frankincense serrata, but it was the thing that was being studied was, I'm trying to remember, it was boswellic acid. And boswellic acid is not present in the essential oil form. It's only in the tincture form. And at the time that the company started talking about frankincense being good for cancer, the thing was that it was being looked at. It hadn't produced any data yet. And so people were using frankincense to treat skin cancers, but I don't know that it had a great track record for that, but orange oil seems to knock some of it out. Pine oils can be good for this is not a replacement for normal treatment. It's just a way to augment. Pine oil can be good. Lemon oil can actually be good, and yarrow can be real good, especially yarrows for inflammatory conditions. The issue is that those things actually have been looked at and actually did have somewhat of an anti-tumor effect, but and a lot of times it's not strong enough to stop the growth. Sometimes it will stunt the growth, calm it down. But if the tumor is small enough, sometimes it will work. But the issue was like getting it as close to the tumor site as possible. And sometimes it's too deep in the body to treat with topical or ingestion. You're not getting it specifically to the site. And so a lot of times the efficacy is off because of the delivery system. And so, over the years, we had several cases where we were able to cure cancer, but we had 10 times the amount where there was, it wasn't a cure because of what I was doing. So for me, that's not good enough numbers to say that, anything, occasionally it worked, but most times it maybe slowed it down or didn't work at all. And so for me, that's not a good enough percentage. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the pine tar is supposed to be real effective as well.
Mhm.
In the black sap.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Yeah, the thing that can happen with the black salve, it can draw some things out, but sometimes with the black salve is it causes infection. Because the area, you start drawing it out and that area is toxic and then is open. And then so you have to really watch for infection there.
Okay.
Yeah, and it does leave usually a bad scar.
All right.
Yeah.
Orange oil sounds good.
But if the site is small enough, you could try the orange oil. Yeah, if it's real big, boy, that's one that you kind of don't want to mess around with. Like, so if it's small enough, you can try treating it, but definitely be interacting with your doctor.
Thanks.
And go ahead, Barbara.
Thanks. Hey there.
Mhm.
So a friend of mine had a horrible reaction to a flu vaccine recently.
Mhm.
And a peer of hers had a reaction to the booster shot for COVID, in that she ended up in the hospital and tested positive for Guillain-Barré, which reminded my friend that she had tested positive for antibodies for that long ago, but never felt symptomatic. And now she's scared to death to take any vaccine. And I just wondered if you had thoughts on that.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
That's not one that I had heard. I've been trying to stay kind of a little bit on top of some of the side effects and symptoms and things. That is not one that I've seen in any of the data. I'm not seeing all the data, but yeah, that's kind of a serious condition. Like, how are they doing right now?
Like within days, she couldn't stand on her own.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything in a few days since then, but I didn't know that you could have antibodies for this and not show symptoms. And so my friend had forgotten she had tested positive, and I didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah, I treated that a long time ago. Boy, there was a wave of cases of that in the Central Valley in California. There was in this little, like it was I don't know, this little area that was surrounded by desert. And man, there was just like a bunch of cases of it. And then all of a sudden it went away. It just stopped happening. And nobody really knows why it happened or didn't, stopped. But yeah, I would say with that particular condition, we kind of don't know a lot about it. I mean, we know a little bit about it, but not like other conditions, And so, so your friend had a reaction, but she's doing okay, or like where's your friend at?
She had a reaction for a couple of weeks to a flu shot, like
Just a regular flu shot.
regular flu shot. She
Yeah,
fell
I mean,
over.
that can happen. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with some of these is, there are reactions to them sometimes. And
So her doctor's pushing her to get a shingles vaccine, and she doesn't want anything to do with any vaccines at this
Yeah.
point. If she had positive antibodies for Guillain-Barré at some point earlier.
yeah.
I mean, do they lay low in the body? Are there things that bring it out? I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know enough about that condition to answer it intelligently. Like,
Okay.
I could go back and look at my notes, but my notes, I almost guarantee didn't have that information in there. Like I said, like the thing is with that condition, we really, over the years, I mean, I think I treated it like 20 years ago. And over the years, I don't know that we've really learned tons about it, even over 20 years. And so I really don't know how to answer that. It's just odd when it pops up, and it's very, very serious condition. And so I think they're better at treating it these days than they were 20 years ago, but it's still pretty serious. Yeah.
Thank you.
I would, the thing that tells me with your friend having that reaction is clean up the lymphatic system and strengthen the immune system.
Yeah.
Even if it's just Neoli strengthening the immune system, and then just do whatever you can to, some lemongrass and water for a little while, or other lymphatic treatments. One of the things that helps the lymph to move in the body is to treat the skin with like coffee or parsley, things like that. And you can minimize your reaction to certain things. And so, the idea would be,
She's also had a lot of skin cancers.
she has. Oh,
Yeah.
I would say really treat really double down on the skin then.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because that means that the skin is probably like toxic's not the right word. It's probably more like congested, and you're just not getting a lot of lymphatic movement there. And so to the point where you're getting chaotic cell growth.
Okay.
Yeah. Coffee, parsley, celery, carrot, all those things are really good for the lymph in the skin, stimulating the skin's processes. Helichrysum will decongest the skin, especially where there's a lack of perspiration. And so that needs to be put in the mix as well. We're playing with some rapid skin detox formulas. And one of them is just all of those things put together, just because of how well it works for the skin.
And the application is?
depends on where they're at. Like if they're in a really severe situation, you know, health wise, or if it's just maintenance. If it's just maintenance, it would be like in salt baths. If it was really a severe situation, I actually have been having people put it on neat, but I mean, like basically almost like pouring it in their hand and then rubbing it over the area that they want to treat.
A
And
mixture or rotating with those?
if the situation is real severe, I would probably just do the neat application and not even like mess around with the salt bath, unless the salt bath had, you know, just a huge dosage. I would probably go for a neat application. You could probably just make a really strong liniment or a really strong lotion, but I had them going right to a neat application.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
yeah.
Go ahead, Mary Ann.
Hey, Mary.
I'm talking about the skin. In my youth, I was a sun worshiper and
Right.
enjoyed summer sports, canoeing, and always got the reflection from the water back in my face.
Right.
And I had squamous cell skin cancer some years ago. And all of a sudden, when I was dealing with this autoimmune illness, I had a rash of squamous cell cancers appear. I mean, like 5 in just a couple of months.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, no one had any answers about it. I had Mohs treatments and they said it was squamous cell. But, you know, I question why all of a sudden so many. And
Right.
is that something that I could use oils?
Yeah, like so when you're looking at any sort of like tumor growth in the skin, you want to go through and detox. I mean, really almost any condition, detoxifying the skin is helpful. I mean, it improves the body's ability to detoxify itself. It helps with the elimination of toxic material for the lungs, and it usually actually enhances the mood, as much as that sounds weird. A lot of times it can actually even reduce some of the inflammation in the body. And, you know, anytime we're talking about autoimmune issues, we're talking about an inflammatory issue that is targeting a specific part of the body. You know, the immune system's targeting, you know, and going after that part of the body. So it's causing inflammation. And so anytime you can reduce inflammation in the body, my guess is the skin was congested. You probably had a lot of inflammation, and you're probably having a heightened autoimmune response that could have caused that. But I would say that like sometimes the skin just gets so congested that it starts to become easy for these things to start growing. And so, you know, there has to be other factors involved, you know, like you said, exposure to the sun and
Just aging, you know.
yeah, and
Right.
aging and things like that. But going through and keeping the skin cleaned up improves your health, not just the skin, your skin health, but it actually improves the function of the overall body. You know, it's something that we overlook, but it's the biggest organ in the body. And
So right now I'm doing the parsley.
yeah,
I'm using the soap on my body and my face.
good.
And I, you know, the black cumin.
Uh-huh.
What else should I be doing? Or could I be doing?
I think that's probably pretty solid. Coffee would be the only other thing that I would
Now, when
augment.
you say coffee,
Mhm.
I drink coffee.
Yeah, yeah, this would be coffee oil. Yeah, coffee oil, like
Okay.
eight drops of the coffee oil is the equivalent of like about a 12-ounce container of instant coffee.
Really?
Yes, that's how potent it
Okay,
is.
so I should get coffee.
Uh-huh. Yeah, let us know, and we have a prototype that we've been using where it's coffee, but it's mixed with like celery and carrot and helichrysum, and just say the special coffee blend,
Okay.
and I'll know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how much would I use, put in water? How many drops?
You actually are going to want to apply this to the body or to the skin.
Oh,
And so maybe we'll make it in an ointment for you.
okay.
We'll do that. We'll make it in an ointment.
Okay, now is this on the list of,
It's not. You'll have to email it, and
oh, all right, okay.
yeah, we haven't put it up on the site yet, but I have a bunch of prototypes that I've been testing for the last about year and a half, and that's one of them, and we just haven't put everything up on the site yet.
Okay, thank you. That's
welcome.
wonderful.
And go ahead, Kathy.
Okay.
Just a question came up when you were talking, because my headaches are a lot better.
good.
I mentioned those before, but they were significantly improved. But the last few days have been getting a little bit slightly bad again. And so I'll take aspirin, but I prefer not to because it's not good for the gut.
Right,
So I find coffee. So when I have only 1 cup of coffee a day, it's in the morning, usually to kind of kick out the headache. So I'm wondering if coffee oil would do that instead of the whole coffee cup.
Well, the thing that the cup of coffee, I mean, I'm not sure that it would do that. The coffee oil doesn't have any caffeine. It's
okay.
a little bit different. Taking it internally, I don't know that it does a whole lot, but topically, it's a very good like detoxifier, especially to the skin. And it also is actually good for reducing pain. It's not a pain reliever, but it's so stimulating to the lymphatic function in the skin that it starts to detoxify areas. And anytime you improve skin function when it comes to detoxifying or lymphatic movement in the skin, it makes the lymphatic movement in your body, even deep lymphatic movement, significantly better. And so like one of the ways that you improve lymphatic function is by treating the skin. And so that can be helpful. One of the things with the coffee, when you're drinking the coffee is, especially when it's a little bit more hot, it can relax the smooth muscle of the respiratory tract, especially like the bronchioles. And then it can relax the gut for a little bit. And so if your headaches are going away when you drink a cup of coffee, one of the things that I would probably do is like take a little bit of anise by itself or basil by itself internally. And both of those would, or those two could even be mixed together, but they would take tension out of the gut, and a decent amount of headaches actually are gut related. And, there's like 27 or 28 different kinds of headaches. And, it's usually a combination of things that you treat when you're dealing with headaches. But even if you look at one of the ways to like prophylactically treat migraines, so not when you're in the middle of a migraine syndrome, but to try to prevent migraines from coming on later. And this would be a little bit different than neuralgias, which is an inflamed nerve. Migraines would be one side of the head is irritated and inflamed. Is to take ginger on a daily basis or peppermint, and preferably it would be ginger, just because the peppermint relaxes the sphincter right up above the stomach. And if you take enough peppermint, that muscle gets relaxed, and when you lay down, stomach acid kind of goes up the esophagus. And so you would have to do peppermint much earlier in the day. But if you do the ginger and or peppermint daily, potentially it has prevented or diminished some migraines. And so if you look at peppermint and ginger, what they also are super good for is they're also both good for the digestive tract. And so basil is especially good for digestive headaches, usually associated with more of the stomach than the other internal organs. But basically it just relaxes the smooth muscle of the digestive tract. And when that happens, lymph moves better, your body becomes less agitated. I do have a stronger oil for the digestive tract for just tension. It's called asafoetida. It really stinks. I mean, it's borderline smells kind of like onions. And that is a substantially stronger antispasmodic for the digestive tract and the respiratory tract, but I don't use it very much. We can always make you a blend for that if you want to try, but honestly, I would try anise or basil first, see how that treated you. Usually asafoetida we use for really severe digestive or respiratory issues, really severe. And every once in a while I take some just to reduce tension in the gut, but you smell like it for a day or two, it just kind of comes out of your pores.
Well, it's
And so-
funny you should say that, because I've been treating leaky gut through this microbiome labs. I take a supplement and stuff, and things are improving, and my headaches improved. So I have a feeling
Yeah.
it could be related to that.
It's definitely related.
Yeah, because then lately things have been just slightly off, not bad, back to like they
Right.
were. But the leaky gut I've been focusing on. So if I were to take anise and basil, 1 drop each in water daily, that would be a good
Yeah.
combination.
Yeah, that should, and you could even see how that treats you, and then if that's treating you okay, you could actually even bump up the amount. You could even go 2 drops each.
Okay.
And but yeah, that should definitely help take the tension down a notch.
Okay. And the other thing after this weekend, I mentioned my achiness and stuff. So yesterday I took an infrared sauna, and I followed with a coffee Epsom salt bath with 14 drops of coffee oil.
Oh, great.
To just really clean things out from what you said, over the weekend. I thought
Right.
I'd give that a try.
So how did that make you feel?
I feel better today. So that's a
Yeah.
good thing. And I never really understood the importance of detoxing the skin. So I'm focusing on that now.
Right.
Now, the only other thing that I do know that Epsom salt pulls things out, and regular salt is kind of rejuvenating. So when would I know really which one to use?
Well, anytime you want to reduce body tension and things, the Epsom salt is a little bit better. A lot of times I do both. I do half and half. And I find it to be a bit stronger and produces a good result. And it has the energetic cleansing effect and helps remove the blockages, and also relaxes the body and helps the body to detox. So you could go just to a half and half ratio and put them both in.
So usually I use 2 to 3 cups of whatever I'm using. Is that about the right amount?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
half and half?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I try everything you say, so I want you to know
Yeah, oh,
it's wasted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Oh, no, the head, that's huge for me not to have any headache.
Yeah. I hear
And
you.
then it was depressing to have to start taking a little bit of aspirin, because I know that's bad for the gut. And I'm working on the gut. So I'll try the anise and basil.
Okay, good.
Question. Can Greg please give some examples for using nutmeg oil besides the angel protocols?
Nutmeg. Let's see. Let me look up. Well, it's usually used in some of the old-fashioned pain blends, arthritis, gout, rheumatism, indigestion, nausea. Can be used in nervous fatigue, which would be neurasthenia, chronic fatigue syndrome, basically, and frigidity, like lack of like sexual desire.
What's a good treatment oil for bacteria vaginosis?
Excuse me. So something like that. First off, I'd say not my super area of expertise, but I would say Neoli can be helpful with that. I've never had people do this, but I know some of the medical aromatherapists will have women do like a douche with a little bit of Neoli. And then taking time Thuyonol internally can be helpful. And so other than that, I really don't have a lot of notes on anything other than those two things.
This might have been asked before. Is there a recommendation for severe/chronic migraines that are caused or triggered by tensions, stress, or anxiety? When the migraine is happening, it is usually around the eyes and neck and sometimes accompanied by nausea/vomiting.
So it's on both around both eyes?
Yep.
Yeah. That's probably more a neuralgia than which is, you know, splitting hairs, but it's an inflamed nerve or a set of nerves. Migraine literally means one side of the head. So when somebody has like a migraine, it usually hurts on one side or hurts on the other side, and it can go back and forth. But when you have it around the eyes, I would say that's probably more a neck issue. And neck and shoulder. And so tension, I'd say slow down the breath, you know, That's the very first thing in the middle of all of this is slow down the breath, which you do with a Lang Lang. Lang Lang will start to slow down a very short, rapid breath. There's a lot of times, like even with migraines and then even with neuralgias, sometimes you'll see the person will start making a fist, but they don't even make it like a normal fist. They'll curl their thumbs in like that, and they'll be laying there relaxing, but they're making fists. You know, the body is super tight, and so you're dealing with a type of like tension that's coming from the nervous system. So you're dealing with basically nervous tension. Lavender can actually be help for nervous tension, but you're going to have to do multiple things, multiple, applications. There's not going to be just one thing that improves it. So the Lang Lang will slow down the breath. I would say something like Larch or Hisapticumbens or Sitka to relax the diaphragm and start to slow down the diaphragm, or slow down, relax the diaphragm. And then it seems like with the symptoms you're describing, there's a lot of tension in the diaphragm because the pain around the eyes is usually coming from the sternocleidomastoid or the upper part of the trapezius, which a lot of times is this like little tense part, like right where the neck and shoulder kind of meet. And it will refer pain up into the head, especially in and around the eyes, behind the eye, things like that. And so the slowing down of the breath is important because you're decreasing body tension and you're decreasing the muscular tension, and then treating the area with antispasmodics. And so you could start with like marjoram, basil, petitgrain. I would probably do marjoram just because marjoram also pulls you out of fight flight. And when you're in that much pain, the tendency is to be going into fight flight because the body is starting to now have a pain response. The other thing that I would consider or look at is the use of birch or like wintergreen on the shoulders and like the temples, just because it's a really good pain reliever and you're wanting to break the pain cycle. You know, neuralgias are just as painful as migraines. They're just the mechanisms are somewhat different. And so you want to break that pain reaction somehow and allow the body to start to go in a little bit more of a relaxed state. Then if you can start doing that, kind of the next wave of things would be to relax the muscle in the gut, like we were talking about with the basil and the anise. You could actually even try relaxing things with even a little bit of lemongrass. With a little bit of lemongrass, like either inhaled or in water, you know, a couple drops in water to go through and just relax the nerves and the nervous system and things like that. And so start with that and then let's see how things are going. But it really sounds like the breath, based on what you're saying, like around the eyes, that tells me sternocleidomastoid with maybe secondary in the trapezius, but also that means that the diaphragm is like probably just wicked tight, and the sternocleidomastoid is having to work super hard to elevate the rib cage, and so all of that turns into a pain syndrome. The thing that I would do after that is I would do some of the work in the sleep class that is tied to the anabolic state, working with decreasing trigger point activity in the body. That would be the next phase. That's not going to work as well if the breath is not unwound. But if you unwind the breath, the trigger point work should go pretty easily, and that would deepen the treatment for unwinding the body, because basically you're having trigger points actually cause neuralgia. And so you want to unwind the neuralgia first and then deeper go into the trigger point activity.
Said that sounds about right. What you're explaining makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'll suggest these to the person.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the breath is key though. Like you got to unwind the breath.
So someone had talked to you about the small nodules in the lungs that were identified and had a plaque CT scan on their heart. You said you had treated it and it worked before, but you didn't remember what you had used. They didn't know if you had had a chance to look
I've
that
been
up.
traveling. I have not had a chance. So how bad is the plaque, by the way? Yeah. Do we know how bad the plaque was?
Not bad.
Okay. Yeah, let me try to go find it in my notes, but we've been traveling, so I haven't had a chance to get caught up on things.
Just someone thought it was surprising that hyssop didn't make your top 20 list.
Well, that was the general public top 20 list, not the fancy top 20 list.
Any recommendation for recovering energy post shingles? I've had low
Ravensara.
energy.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ravensara. Yeah, Ravensara you could actually take internally. Like 2-3 drops in water. You can do that 2 or 3 times a day. That will start to strengthen the body. If it's not enough, you can add either thyme thuyonol or thyme geranol to the combination, and that will help to regulate the energy levels. Yeah, it can be very fatiguing.
Do we have a parsley soap? That's a good one. We can make a therapeutic
Well,
one.
yeah,
maybe?
we'll make a medicated soap, and we'll have that up in the next couple of days. We were playing around with having parsley like bars of soap. That's for daily use, but we'll make a medicated soap that's used for spot treatment. And we already made, I think, 3 medicated soaps. We make Stressies,
Chocolate root cleanser.
chocolate root cleanser, and bay laurel, and where we have another 5 or 6 that are slotted to be parsley is one of them, and then that coffee combo is going to be one of them. So we can put those up on the site in the next few days.
And someone just shared their neurologist also prescribed like 400 milligrams of magnesium twice a day, as well as B2 once a day for their migraines. And they said that's really been helping them.
Yeah, magnesium is always good for anything where there's muscle tension, spasms, tension. Yeah.
I take many oils internally, and if I did all that I thought would benefit me, it might be 10 oils. Do they all complement each other, or am I over?
That might be a little much. Like try to rotate them from day to day. Like usually I do 1 or 2 a day. And yeah, I like your enthusiasm. I mean, sometimes if there's things that are just like tonics and things, just spread them out and you can make that happen. But if you're really trying to treat something, maybe just 1 or 2 a day.
Anything to help with vertigo?
Usually hyssop, long slow deep breaths with hyssop a lot of times can knock out the vertigo. A lot of times it is tightness again in the sternocleidomastoid that is then throwing off the inner ear. And so if you do things to relax the neck muscles and deepen the breath, the vertigo usually goes away.
And go ahead, Megan.
Hey, make it.
Hey, just checking back in with the claustrophobia. I did the things you suggested for this past week. Do you think I need to give it a little more time? I mean, I'm just kind of going off of imagining myself in some of the situations lately that bothered me, like this particular automatic door at a shop I went in last week and like that. But I haven't really put myself there because I'm kind of scared to try anything because I also don't want to freak out again, but I could just be imagining it that it will bother me and maybe it would be improved.
Right. Like if you were to step in the clothes closet, like, you know, like where you put your coats and things, would that make you flare up?
Not the coat closet we have with a sliding door, but for example, the bedroom closet in our room is really tiny, and the first thing I would think is that the doorknob would malfunction, you know, and I wouldn't be able to open it. That's what I would think.
Why don't you try stepping in there and just see what the body starts to do, and then email me and let me know. I mean, I know
Okay.
that's a little bit harsh, but it's like the thing with visualizing yourself in the situation is you're thinking more of the reaction than the actual like situation. And
Okay.
so like a lot of times I'll just like, let's, you know, put you in the closet or, you know, something.
Yeah.
To where you have the experience and you're not thinking of the past experience or the past reaction or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if it is the same, do you think it might just need another week or two of?
Yeah, sometimes it takes a little while to go through and unwind it. And so
Okay.
it might not be that we would change, but we at least can monitor and see if there's any shift or change in the reaction. And then probably would still treat it the same way for a little while and then check it again in another week or two.
Okay. One more little thing. And I don't know if this is connected to like, you know, like brain issues or whatnot, thinking about trauma and whatever's underneath all this, but I wondered if you wouldn't mind just scanning my forehead chakra in the front of the brain, because I've been trying to clean it with pranic healing and it's like, it just feels like there's this huge glob there and it's not moving and I don't know what it is. And I've worked on it a number of times.
You're
Maybe
doing it through the forehead or you're doing it through the temples?
through the forehead and then directly on the brain. I tried to clean it both ways. It could be that I'm getting layers off and there's just more, or it could be the same thing. I don't know.
It's your Mingmen. It's your Mingmen in your jaws.
Oh,
Yeah. And so you're cleaning it off, but it keeps going, it keeps filling up.
okay.
So like your jaws are super overactivated. So inhibit your jaws
Okay.
and then clean up the Mingmen, like the basic
Okay.
and the soles of your feet are super overactivated. Your palms aren't. Your perineums are overactivated as well. So
Okay.
inhibit the minor chakras of the legs, but especially the soles of the feet and your perineum, your jaws, and clean the Mingmen. And you can inhibit it, but really probably more than anything, clean it. And the forehead thing should clean up.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Ralph.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. For the post shingles, that was me. You
Oh,
said a couple of different kinds of time. Which one were those? Which one?
Thuyanol.
Thuyanol?
Or Geranol. Yeah, like regular time is a little too strong, but the Thuyanol, Geranol, and actually even Lenolol
Okay.
All three of those would work really well for strengthening the body. In the old days, we used to use the Ravensar with the Tylenol. Geranol and Tylenol weren't on the market back in the day. So now, as long as it's one of those three, it usually works.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. You're so welcome.
Anything to help with vertigo?
The hyssop, long sleep dip breaths with the hyssop. If you loosen up the diaphragm and the sternocleidomastoid is actually throwing off the inner ear. So if you deepen the breath and relax the diaphragm, or relax the sternocleidomastoid, the vertigo usually goes away.
Someone asked if I could spell those. I don't know if you guys have met me, but spelling is not my strong suit. I still have to look up how to spell helichrysum every time. I'm gonna see about just I would just look up time on our website, and then you can see them all spelled properly. So let me see about doing that for you guys here, so I can type that in, and I'll get that link for time, and then you can see them all in that format. That should be fine. And that is, oh, good. Thank you for typing that in there, Kathy. Here, I'll do copy paste. Thanks, guys. All right, we got Tylenol in there. Linalool is Ninalol. And not sure where I put the other one. It was linalool, and what was the third one?
Geranol,
Geranol.
Tylenol, yeah.
And it's time.
Yeah.
It's time.
So, okay, so we're going to, I hope you hope that was helpful and everything. We'll be doing more next Tuesday. You can always shoot us emails, but it's nice to be able to go back and forth in the live chat. So we are going to shift over and go into the angel class. So you're more welcome to join us. Everybody is welcome, and it's a different link. So if you need the link, let us know. But otherwise, we're going to shift over and do the angel study group here in just about a minute. So